Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is read this Il Topo was taken. So I'm going to read a little from that, and I'm going to read from other selections from that same book. Same unpublishable journal of my presidential campaign. Even though I've run 7 times now, I wasn't sure I was going to run this time. You know, every year I try to quit running. I mean, every election, but I never succeed. Okay, so this is. Oh right, where's my microphone? Right here. Look at that. The answer is there. Do you mind if I read into this microphone? Where is the? Why is nothing being? What's the word?
It's being amplified.
It is being amplified? Okay.
Do you need it more?
Yeah, so this is on your first page if you want to read this part. Now that, so this is right after Hillary declared her candidacy. Now that Hillary Clinton, is this too loud? Is this bothering everyone? Anyone?
It's fine.
It's all right? Okay. I hate to scream. I just feel like every old hippie just like screams. You know, doesn't want to use a microphone. And I'm the only old hippie that's like, I'll use a microphone, why not? Okay, let me just say my mantra, speaking of being an old hippie. Now that Hillary Clinton has officially declared her candidacy for president, all eyes are on Sparrow, the reclusive poet mystic of Phoenicia, New York. Sparrow has conducted zany presidential campaigns during the last 6 elections and has become a staple for news junkies and anarchist dyspeptics. Dyspeptic is someone who has digestive problems and is like therefore kind of mean and angry. Sparrow himself, however, is elusive. Maybe 6 campaigns is sufficient, he mused, stirring oatmeal in his double-wide trailer at the foot of Mount Romer. I'm busy just thinking up new poems for my Facebook page. Sparrow has long eschewed bourgeois literary magazines in favor of the democratic internet. Sparrow initially ran for the Oval Office in 1992 when he first fulfilled one of the requirements of the office, being at least 35 years old. My wife and I had just had a child. I was 38, and the moment was ripe, the 6-time candidate recalls. Sparrow has consistently requested his supporters not to vote for him. As distasteful as the Democrats are, we must support them, he said glumly. The alternative is the night of the long knives. In other words, we vote for the Republicans, we get the night of the long knives. Lately I was listening to a series of lectures about Hitler, and I found out what the night of the long knives is. It's the night that the Nazis purged all the left elements of the Nazis. But it's a great phrase. I mean, I'm not saying I'm pro-Nazi, but they come up with some great phrases, these guys. Why does he run then? I run for president in the sense that one runs to the store, the poet explains. I run to pick up a few necessary items I have forgotten. Sparrow is starting to sound very much like a candidate. Has the Hamlet of the Hudson Valley made up his mind? I still haven't decided, but I do love creating palindromic slogans, the not quite contender remarks. For example, National Plan, oh, I tan. So not only is this a palindrome, but it actually rhymes. This is, and I wrote it out for you. This is my mother's wrapping paper. And it's just so you can see with your own eyes that it is exactly the same backwards and forwards. I created this phrase, national plan, oh, I tan. You see that? reads exactly the same backwards. And I just wrote this on the R platform on 23rd Street. I don't know if you know this word Salah, but it's used as the final word in a number of psalms, biblical psalms. Salah, we revere whales. It's another of my palindromic slogans that I think can really transform this nation. I mean, at least I hope. So I'm going to read some more from I'm going to read from the other secret parts of this essay that you don't yet own. This is from July 17th. All sports are based on fruits. A tennis ball resembles an orange. A football looks like a watermelon. A golf ball is like a plum. A basketball closely resembles a pumpkin, which is botanically a fruit. The urge to play a game comes from a primal desire to kick or throw food. A new theory. All of Francis Bacon's books were actually written by Shakespeare. This morning I went outside the doorway of my double-wide trailer and noticed a cobweb attached to the side of the house. I swiped at it, and the moth that was trapped inside began to flap its wings. It's still alive, I realized. So I disentangled this small creature, and it flew away to the flowering bee balm nearby. Even if I failed to become president, I have saved one moth. There must be some trees that stand on the border between two nations. I call these border trees. Such trees have roots in two countries. They teach us the illusionality of the nation state. International law must adjudicate such creatures, especially if they're fruit trees. In other words, who owns the pears that fall from a border tree between France and Germany? I will be the first president to stand solemnly beneath border trees. Now that we have DNA testing, there's no reason for monogamy. The parentage of any child may be determined with accuracy. Therefore, women can sleep with anyone they want. Women need no longer be owned by men through the legal contract of marriage. The patriarchal chains are now broken. My first day in office, I will declare the death of the patriarchy by presidential decree, like the Emancipation Proclamation. My new bumper sticker: legalize counterfeit money. And I'd like to administer this oath to you. Now that you own my manifesto here, I think you all have a copy, so please repeat after me. I vow to accept Sparrow's manifesto as the guiding principle of my life. Thank you. Now, I want to explain, you can stop repeating after me. I want to explain this is a revocable vow, a breakable vow, even a friable vow. Just want to let you know that. And since this is the official launch of my manifesto. I may be the first person in history to do this. I have to do this quickly before I disappear. You ready? Story of my life. I'm going to read a little bit more. This was part of this. I've had great success with this campaign literature, so part of it was published in this prestigious magazine, The Sun. I'll read a little of that. Yesterday, walking to the hardware store, I passed a flag I had never seen before. It was an American flag, but on the edge was written in big black letters, "Proud to be an American," as if no ordinary American flag conveyed this triumphal message. This flag infuriated me. I am easily offended politically. I decided to manufacture a series of flags with these messages: embarrassed to be an American, bewildered to be an American, astonished to be an American, too poor to be an American. In ancient Ireland, bards were spiritual leaders. If today's presidents were chosen for their poetic skills, I'd probably win. I occasionally write a pretty good poem, such as, here's one of my pretty good poems. It's called A Paradox. Birds fear me, though I've never hurt one. Thank God there are no trillionaires. At first, Donald Trump was funny. It was possible to see him as intentionally absurd. His profuse improvisations had a comedic rhythm. "I'm a builder. I know how to build walls," he said, contemplating the 2,000-mile wall he promises to erect between Mexico and the USA. But after the ISIS attacks in Paris and San Bernardino, he wants a total and complete ban on Muslims entering our country, and wouldn't rule out internment camps like those used against Japanese Americans in World War II. I should have known that fascism would come to America in the form of stand-up comedy. I am the only candidate concerned about illegal emigration. You know the difference between immigration and emigration. Thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of Americans are wandering around Costa Rica and Portugal without proper visas. Who knows what kind of havoc they're causing? Dear Mr. Trump, must we build a wall between our nation and Mexico? It seems so paranoid. How about a 2,000-mile long window instead? Idealistically, Sparrow. Oh, and then here's my speech about voting, just in case any of you have any faith in my theories. I wrote this, I kind of briefly joined a rock and roll band lately, and I wrote this as a speech to give between sets of the band. And then I never gave it. I know a lot of you think Hillary is the Antichrist, but vote for her anyway. If Trump wins 3 years from now, you and I will meet in a prison camp in Arizona, along with 30,000 Muslims and every member of the Black Lives Matter movement. And you'll say to me, "Oh my God, Sparrow, you were fucking right." As the patriarchy is dying, it thrashes about like a wounded rat. That thrashing is the Trump campaign. Those 60s leftists were wrong. One can be part of the problem and part of the solution. Take me, for example. I dream my wife, Violet, and I are driving through a post-apocalyptic landscape in a station wagon. Our plan is to reach a deserted military base where we hope to find food and supplies. Other cars are stopped in front of us and we slow to a halt. Suddenly someone opens the back of the station wagon and passes a small child to me. I take the boy, who is about 7 and frightened. A black man in his 30s crawls in after him. The space in the back of the car is so tight that our faces are almost pressed together. I'm a little afraid. "You hate me, don't you?" the man asks. "No," I reply, genuinely surprised. He smiles. I awaken in my pre-apocalyptic bedroom. Even in my dreams, I'm struggling with racism. So I'd like to thank you for attending my event. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
What does it feel like to be bricked up in that wall?
You know, it's a good question. I realized, actually, while I was flunking out of Cornell University, I used to sometimes, in between studying, I would crawl into a tiny cabinet in one of the study halls, and I realized I'm a claustrophile. I actually like being in tiny compartments. So actually, I'd probably enjoy living in a place like this.